what you have is, I mean, not ballot, the voters register.
Okay.
That's why we now reconfigure the voters register such that now you have your name there. In that same voters register, you have two boxes. One is a square box. The other one is a rectangular box. If you come and, where the card readers are unable to read your thumbprint, but all your particulars are correct as they are on your PVC, that is your permanent voter's card, as it is on the register, will allow you to vote. But then you will have to thumbprint on the square box so that at least we've recaptured your thumbprint, and then put your phone number on the rectangular box. So in case incident, something happens and somebody wants to subpoena, the records are there for us to see what really happened. So nobody now has a form that he will fill on your behalf. You don't even know what he has filled in, which was the case before. So absolutely, there is no incident form anymore.
I see. We're going to go to Lagos now for some questions.
Yeah, Mr. Haruna, what happens if someone, maybe a politician or anyone, already has access to some of those sensitive materials, maybe the result sheet? What would INEC do in that case?
That's highly, highly improbable. I mean, nothing human is impossible, so I wouldn't say it's absolutely impossible, but it's very, very improbable. But in the event that it does, if it's clear that it has happened, obviously we'll cancel the election.
Because, there were those who were of the opinion that some party members on last Saturday had cited the result sheet. So upon citing the result sheet, what if somebody took a picture? It's possible, isn't it?
Well, as I said, nothing is impossible, but this is the age of social media. You hear all kinds of funny things. I mean, so I'll be surprised if it has happened. But so far, I'm not aware that any such thing has happened.
Okay, but you do have a plan if that happens. Okay, now secondly, why is INEC eventually going to, or when will INEC release the total number of permanent voter cards collected?
As soon as we get I'm sure certainly before the elections, because we want people to know for sure, be very clear that, look, nothing untoward is happening about those permanent voters' cards. I can't give you the exact date right now, but as soon as, certainly what I can say for sure is that before the elections happen, that is before Saturday, we'll be able to tell the world how many permanent voters' cards have been collected and how many are uncollected. And as we've always said, those that are uncollected will, send them back to the CBN for custody.
If it's going to happen,
after the election, we'll resume issuing the PVCs.
Right.
For
so
collection.
if you say it's going to happen before Saturday, why didn't it happen before last Saturday?
Pardon?
If you say you're going to release them before this Saturday's election, why didn't you do it before last Saturday?
Release? What do you mean release? You mean the ones we've collected?
Yes, total number of permanent voter cards.
Are you saying to release the ones we've collected?
No. The figure of the total number of permanent voter cards collected. People have been asking about it, which is, I believe, is what you said. The figures will be released before Saturday's election. Then I'm asking, if that is going to be the case, why didn't it happen before last Saturday?
See, Saturday for us was really a nightmare. Actually, it should have happened on Friday, but Friday, if you remember, was the day that we had this long meeting, which started in the afternoon, and we were still hoping that we'll be able to hold the elections, on Saturday, at the worst by Monday, So we were so taken up by trying to take a decision on exactly what to do That's why we were unable to release those figures.
Let me rephrase that question because it borders on the credibility or otherwise of the election. On the INEC register,
certainly
there are 84 million people who have registered, to vote for their, registered voters. But the number of people who have collected their PVCs are far less than 84 million. Now, if we do not have the differential between...
Yes, it's about 76%.
Okay. Now, people need to be sure of the exact figure so that there are no over-bloated figures at different polling units. So if we do not have those figures and someone comes up and says eventually they were able to come up with 84 million or a certain number above the number of people that have collected their voter cards at a particular polling unit, there could be an issue. Don't you think so?
You're absolutely right. There could be an issue. But in a sense, we've already given these figures because we've given the percentage of the collection. So we know how many of the PVCs haven't been collected. But you're right, we should give the exact figure, not just percentages. And I assure you that we'll give the exact figures before the election.
Okay, let me go to some other issues that is of equally important in this process, and it's something I'd like to reiterate. I'm sure you have heard reports about some of your ad hoc staff. The way they were treated over the weekend is inhumane, to say the least. What's the plan this time around? Because their mindset, their state of mind is very important to the process.
Yes, again, that's why our chairman on that Saturday apologized. The apology was meant for just about everybody, every stakeholder that's been involved in our election, especially the NYC chaps, because, as our ad hoc staff, because they've become very central to the success of our elections. And we're really sorry that what happened, but I can assure you that it will not repeat itself again.
Let me quickly ask you, how big a burden is the number of participants in an election on the electoral body? You talked about the number of candidates participating in the presidential election, and you talked about the number of people participating in the parliamentary elections as well.
That's right.
How big a burden is it for the electoral body if the number keeps increasing?
You see, again, the chairman mentioned this in that Saturday briefing, that we really have to have a huge conversation about the way, our electoral system is. When the threshold for political parties is so low, and you have so many political parties, right now we have 93, over 90 political parties, when it's with so many problems, we have to do so many things. We really have to sit down and discuss how we will be able to streamline things so that the burden will not become too much on INEC. But this is something that can only happen after this election. For now, of course, our focus is on the election
How
itself.
does it affect INEC? The reason I ask this is because it would seem that all that has changed is the ballot paper, the size of the ballot paper. Isn't that all that has changed?
No, certainly much more than that. The sizes of the ballot papers changed, of course, because of the number.
Yes.
But even the result sheets, because remember, every party that is contesting with the names of the candidates will have to be on the result sheets. And the result sheet is a much bigger thing, and of course, much bigger quantities. Remember, again, the chairman mentioned it about, 400 and something million, ballot papers. Those are huge numbers, something that we've never seen before. So it's a huge burden, and unless we are able to do something about this, even the cost of our elections themselves, they are going to run it's just not sustainable. There's no way we can forever continue to sustain the kind of problems that we have. Financially, logistics-wise, remember, of course, we are not the biggest democracy. India is, But remember, in India, they stagger their elections over months. You know, here in Nigeria, like in the U.S., whose presidential system we are copying, you know, elections are held all in one day, and you have, you just mentioned it, over 84 million voters, by far the largest in Africa. So those are really huge burdens. I'm
wondering, for those Nigerians who are saying we're not very confident that INEC can conduct credible elections, we've heard politicians say it, but maybe some ordinary people also feel that way as well. How do you intend to restore their confidence ahead of the polls on Saturday?
Well, we listed a number of steps that we are going to take, and this morning, or rather this afternoon, the chairman is going to speak to some of these steps about them, you know, because we've made a lot of progress in realizing those steps, and the chairman will brief the public about all the steps they have, and that in itself will be assuring.
Oh, we look forward to see how Saturday will proceed, and we hope that INEC will do just what is right. Do you envisage any challenges for Saturday?
Well, there will always be challenges, but the important thing is that we are prepared this time to meet up with those challenges.
What challenge can you tell us of?
I can't tell you. I mean, some of the challenges, for instance, that we had last week, we didn't anticipate them, but they were of such nature that they were overwhelming. This time, all those challenges at least we've plugged. So I don't see how any big challenge, I mean, of the scale, of the scope that we saw will occur again. And the small challenges that we will have, we will overcome. And I assure you that we will have a free, fair, credible election. Our only hope, of course, is that it should also be peaceful.
Well, that is definitely something to talk about, peaceful elections. Sadly, we didn't talk about the environment, if the environment is going to pose any challenge to you. But we have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily.
You're most welcome.
Mohammed Haruna is a National Commissioner and Member, Information, Voter Education and Publicity Committee of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay with us.